we talk about neuroplasticity, we have to talk about addictions. What are addictions, anyways? Addictive behaviors. Well, what is a behavior? A behavior is an action step. An action step towards something at a consequence of something else. The question arises is, if you have a goal, well, first off, if you need to ask yourself if you do have a goal, because a lot of people that get stuck in addictions lose sight of their goals, or they lose hope and faith that they can even achieve those goals. And then by the time they're already waist deep in the cycle, they feel like they're in quicksand. But the best part about being in quicksand is that whenever you have a team around you, willing to throw you branches, willing to pull you out, willing to help you do whatever it takes to get out of there and save you, so that we can continue our journey together and explore this entire jungle. Addictive behaviors are not only behavioral and have to do with cognitive dynamics and the way in which we think and articulate our thoughts, but they are also overlap with the biochemistry of the brain and the mechanics in which the brain has evolved through hubs and pathways in the brain that are used more often and become like a highway. And as they become like a highway, the body does this very naturally. It's the old, if you don't use it, you lose it. And if you need it, make more of it. It's kind of like Wolff's Law of the bone. Whenever we have an increased demand on the cortex of the bone, it's going to cause an increased activity in osteoblastic activity. So the bone formation will start to increase because of the demands placed upon it. And that's why we have bony landmarks on our bones, such as the greater trochanter of the femur. This is a huge, huge landmark on the bone because of the insertion of the gluteus muscle groups, as well as some of the abductor muscle groups. And this being an insertion point for so many different muscles pulls on the bone as the muscles contract, causing the bone to change shape. And as it pulls, it lays down more calcium from the osteoblastic activity. And in turn, we form a bony landmark. Now, if you look at skeletons or cadavers of athletes or bodybuilders, they actually have bigger landmarks on their bones because of the increased pressure or tension as the muscle fibers pull away from the bone, pull the tendon off the insertion. This actually makes them stronger. So as long as it doesn't pull or avulse the bone, the muscle will grow stronger and the bone will grow stronger as well. As you age and we stop exercising, we stop getting outside and eating well, what happens to our bones? Well, we have to pull calcium out of the bone to supply our diet and the rest of our body. Calcium is a primary mineral in regulating a lot of our nervous system, especially the heart. The heart's conduction is primarily through calcium. So, as we age and we need these nutrients that we're not getting from our diet, from our nutritious food, we grow to become into osteoporosis or bone thinning. This is due to the osteoclasts or the bone breaking cells, the ones that break down bone and resorb bone. as we age, they become more and more active. But if we exercise properly and we eat properly, even with the onset of menopause and other hormone and endocrine disruptions, we can still maintain a healthy bone structure. I've seen this using a DEXA scanner. DEXA scanner is dual emission X-ray, and it's used to measure specific bone densities throughout the body. And it's also really, really good at calculating muscle mass and fat density, water density inside the body. Now, this is using radiation, so we don't want to do this all the time, but it is a great tool for understanding how the body can change just through exercise. We can see these in studies all throughout, where the muscles, the bones, the brain, all in different forms of digital imaging and functional imaging, we can see that the body improves with activity, with movement. So what do we do as we go through our childhood? Well, we stop moving, we stop eating as well, and we stop learning, we stop going out and exploring and doing science, and instead are sitting in a still chair all day listening to somebody that has an amazing heart, that probably started with great intentions, but over time, maybe they even lost their vision. And the teacher becomes part of the problem. A lot of our teachers are depressed because they're underpaid. A teacher is the most prestigious job you could ever have. And that's why in our society, a society that's turned upside down and only for the benefit of capitalism, even if the CEO of a certain corporation passes, that corporation continues. So it never really matters the people that are in it. It's only about that system, a self-serving system that has no purpose in human consciousness and the evolution of our beingness. Now, I'm not saying that technology is a bad thing. I love technology. I think it's the most important thing right now. To use our technology to expand our consciousness and get the word out there. Tell everybody that neuroplasticity is a thing, and we can relearn how to learn. We can reshape our brains and rewire our brains. Instead of putting the kids in school to learn about stories that we all know are not beneficial to anyone, it has very little truth in our history lessons. Now, I think math class is important. I think art class is important. I think physical education is important. I think social studies is very important. I think that, but we have to do it in a dynamic in which the kids are learning and not what's easiest for testing the kids or grading the kids or doing a mass collection of information on people that has nothing to do with that individual's specialty. I think it was Albert Einstein that even said if you judged a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will think its whole life that it's stupid. That's Albert Einstein, one of the smartest men that's ever existed. And when I say men, I mean men and women. I don't like to use that terminology because there's probably been smarter women than Albert Einstein that never got the chance. So we have to look at that as well. This is part of this cycle. This is part of our addiction. This is a part of this system that we've emplaced that feeds segregation, that feeds materialism, that feeds sexualism. And racism and profiling. It's all a part of the same thing. These addictive behaviors lead to a loss of neuroplastic behavior, or our integrity, or our ability to change and rewire our own brains and learn new things. Now, if you learn or unlearn how to learn and stop using that portion of your brain at a young age, and are told what to think, are told what to buy, are told what to do, told what to expect out of life, what chance do you have? And how obvious would it be that where we're sitting today is a direct reflection of that? Addictive behaviors are biochemical, but they're also structural. We have to restructure on a microscopic scale our brains, from laying down fibrotic tissue and reforming new connections within the neurons. We have roughly 100 billion neurons. Now, that's just a guesstimate. We don't even know. But it's not the number that counts. I learned this from Dr. Andy Bosco, a neurologist and a neuroscientist from UCLA. Explains that it's not the number of neurons in your brain, but the number of connections between each neuron, which can range from tens of thousands, forming better communication pathways, better conductivity throughout the brain, allowing more free range to reach back and grab old ideas and apply it to new techniques. This is neuroplasticity. This is the art of being in a true childlike mindset. You look at some of the people that have influenced society in maybe a different way, and you listen to their stories, and a lot of them had it rough. They didn't get to go through the motions. They had to live different childhoods that required supporting their families or doing something that was not of the mainstream. And one of the people that I think of about this, and one of my heroes, not only for how well he acted as I was watching his movies growing up, but where he's currently at in his state of consciousness, is Jim Carrey. And if you listen to him talk, you can see his focus and his level of consciousness now. But if you look back to his development, he was always a cheerful, outgoing, hardworking individual that believed in himself and took every opportunity in a loving way. That man does not fear much. He'll hop up in front, at least when it comes to talking. He can literally hop up on stage and just draw a crowd. Those things are not natural. He learned how to do that, and the more he did it, the better he got at it. And then the more he did new things, the more he did other things. Now he advocates against, well, not against, but just more so enlightening and educating of the risks of the thimerosal and mercury within the vaccinations that we're giving children. He is a true inspiration to be able to see how you can go from being a young, goofy comedian to all the way through Hollywood, all the trials and all the struggles of being a celebrity, and he came out on top. He's higher on a conscious level now than he's ever been. He is a perfect example of neuroplasticity and being able able to be comfortable in a wide range of scenarios and environments. Being able to get out of addictive cycles and addictive behaviors requires not only a great effort, but it takes help from other people. We cannot expect ourselves to be able to resist all alone. We're all going through this. We all live in the same reality. It's whether or not we want to acknowledge that and help each other out of the mud, out of the quicksand. This system has an ego. The ego says, we're going to use as many resources, we're going to make as much money as we can to get our numbers up, to get profits up, to keep business alive. That's the ego. There's no room on a planet, on a biosphere for ego. For all things are connected and all things are symbiotically working together. Ego is only self-serving and self-preserving. Therefore, ego means death. To have complete ego death is to be a servant, to be conscious, and to not let your personal intentions, fear, jealousy, and anger get in the way of the universe's greater intentions and divine purpose for you and me. Clearing the mind, allowing a realignment, and then having a stimulus to act as a catapult to begin the healing process. And then once you're in the rehabilitative healing process, it's absolutely crucial to have a program that allows for and implicates daily strategies, sometimes even hourly strategies, even minute-to-minute strategies with our breath work for breaking cycles in our own nervous system that have been learned from the time we are children. I'm developing an algorithm to return neuroplasticity behaviors into our society, and what each individual is going to have to do in order to regain and reclaim their ability to rewire their brain in the way they see it. Neuroplasticity is a huge topic right now, but I don't think that we're going to find our salvation in drugs or in medicine. I don't think our brains need anything else besides movement, nutrition, proper breathing, and a proper mindset or perspective. Being a conscious, loving person and removing yourself from the addictive behaviors that you and I are both putting ourselves through in order to get temporary relief. If you have not heard my Mountain of Health talk yet, I will be doing another one very soon. I would expect each one of you to pay attention and be there for that. This is how we will reshape our own lives. This is how we will reshape our own brains. And in doing so, we'll reshape the world into a more conscious and better place for everyone. And I'm not just saying better as in like people are nicer. I'm talking about people will be more happy, more enthusiastic, more loving, and our technology will flourish through the roof. I think this would be the path that we were on if Nikola Tesla was more of an influence. Now, he was a great influence, scientific realm and community. But he struggled a lot of his life with addictive behaviors and being able to have self-respect and self-talk. By the end, he started to lose his mind. Now, I don't know what his lifestyle was like. Maybe that'd be something important to look into. We need to examine these people that we claim to have the highest amount of knowledge and willpower. People like Albert Einstein. People like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We all know the I Had a Dream speech. But if you go and you actually listen to the entire speech, you can tell that that man is a genius. His way for his brain to be able to poetically articulate words in a way that shifts your heart, but also causes a paradigm shift in your own brain and inspires you on multiple planes. That is the art of what our brains can do if we're conscious and we're on our path for what the divine has for us. Dr. Martin Luther King served his purpose. And I think that if he hadn't been executed the way he was, he may have not have had as big of a role. Now, I'm not saying that the speech was not amazing. Obviously, I love the speech. But what I'm saying is that possibly, just possibly, and we don't know this, but because he gave that speech, and because the hate and the fear in the others resulted in him being murdered, caused a complete paradigm shift in our country. And it wasn't too long after that that equal rights were given. But were they? The story of America is unequal rights, inequality from the time we've gotten here. And I'm not here to lecture anybody. We all know this story. But there has to come a point in time as a collective when we have to look ourselves in the mirror and we have to cut our losses. I love equality. I think it's a great, compassionate ideal. But nature and evolution have never been equal. Just like the light sensitive, the photosensitive bacteria I was talking about earlier, the ones that were not able to detect light, they rose to the top of the water and they were in more warm environments. Maybe that led to more protein degeneration in their DNA, equating to more risk for cancer and other mutations that were not healthy, slowly causing that group of bacteria to dwindle, while the other ones at the deeper depths began to expand and grow and continue. This is called natural selection. And right now, natural selection is at work again through the humans that are behaving consciously. The conscious humans will outlast and survive this system, leaving behind everything and everyone that was addicted to it. But the story of life is not one of sadness. The story of the universe and the story of God is a story of redemption. universe wants us to learn from our mistakes. God wants us to be forgiven and accept our past and accept our current situation so that our divine purpose can finally work down through us and we can live in a conscious moment and spread love and have our abundance and opportunities around us and be able to manifest the life that we want, our dreams. Stop trying to control the river and just let go and float down it like a leaf on the river. Addictive behaviors are our way of finding excuses and temporary relieving traumas from our past. So we have to get back into the moment. We have to develop strategies for coping with past traumas and staying in the present moment and loving ourselves and loving where we're going and loving what we have in store for ourselves and being conscious to the opportunities around us. Once that happens, the traumas don't disappear, but a new perspective and a new pathway is taken on an old problem, and that is neuroplasticity. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast on neuroplasticity. This is Dr. Ryan Dawson, founder of Neuroplastic Life Coaching, and I will be taking on clients and writing personalized programs and helping as we walk to the mountain and climb the mountain of health together. I don't have it all figured out. I have people teaching me. I'm learning every day. That's what neuroplasticity is. So let's help each other help each other. Let's teach each other how to teach each other. And let's learn how to learn. Because if that happens, and when it does, the cosmos and the universe will be at our fingertips. My name is Dr. Ryan Dawson, chiropractor and community health advocate out of Santa Cruz, California. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the very first episode of Neuroblast Radio. I have faith that you guys received some information from there that you can utilize today and have an absolutely amazing day. Please follow my Facebook page at Dawson Chiropractic and Human Optimization. You can also check out my Instagram at Dr. Ryan Dawson and look out for upcoming podcasts, videos, and anything regarding sustainable health into the future. Thank you and have a wonderful day.